guys, welcome back to another movie review. The Halloween time is upon us, and I thought it would be a good idea to review a horror classic. So today I'm going to be reviewing the 1973 movie The Exorcist. When I was a kid, I heard a lot about this movie from my parents who watched it when they were younger. They would tell me about, how scary it was and how I should never watch it, ever. Do not watch this film. And it's kind of silly parents, because obviously when you tell a kid not to do something, they're more inclined to go ahead and want to do it even more. So eventually I ended up, when I was about 15, watching the film. It was kind of like a rite of passage for horror fans. And at that point, I'd seen loads of horror films: Halloween, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, The Thing, so many. But that was one I had to tick off my list. So yeah, I finally got around to watching it. I made sure to watch the movie in the daytime, so I didn't get, too freaked out. And I made it unscathed, but it definitely was an overwhelming experience. Nevertheless, the original installment from 1973 is still considered a horror classic, and I'd not seen it in a long time, up until recently. So the story follows a young girl called Regan, played by actress Linda Blair. She's an 11-year-old girl from Georgetown who ultimately becomes possessed by the demon Pazuzu. The whole film revolves around her possession and her mother's struggle to find a solution. The mother, Christine McNeil, played by actress Ellen Bernstein, delivered a really powerful performance as a mother in dire straits. It's totally authentic. You really feel for the mother, you really feel for her character and what she's having to go through with seeing her daughter just kind of decline her health, and the various avenues of help from doctors and stuff like that. It doesn't seem to be any solution. And upon rewatching this movie and doing some research, I actually found out that Ellen Bernstein was actually nominated for an Oscar for this role. 100% completely understand why. It was just a powerful performance. So separately to this story, we also are introduced to Father Damien Caris, played by actor Jason Miller. The priest is a psychiatrist who counsels at Georgetown University. Caris is a tortured soul, and he's trying to balance out his life as a priest as he struggles with his own faith. In addition to this, he has an ailing mother who passes away fairly early on in the film. The loss of the mother only increases Caris's conflictions against his own faith. Eventually, Christine McNeil, Regan's mother, meets with Father Caris, and they have a discussion where Christine requests an exorcism. Initially, Caris is reluctant at first, but after witnessing and seeing Regan in person, he decides that would be the best way forward. And so the final act of the movie sees the exorcism of Regan take place. Now, Jason Miller is an absolute tour de force in this movie. The actor delivered an incredibly haunting portrayal of a priest consumed by despair, who ultimately overcomes all of that and fully aligns himself with Lord Jesus Christ and saves Regan in the process. I was reading up about Jason Miller and just his biography, and I was taken back to discover this was Jason Miller's first acting performance on screen. In context, Miller was a trained working actor, working on Broadway on a regular basis, so he had a lot of acting experience, and he wasn't just like some random person, plucked off the streets from obscurity to star in this film. But nevertheless, even though with all that acting experience, for him to come into this movie, this setting, this production, and just nail it, it's full credit to him. And in addition to Ellen Bernstein, his co-star, Miller was also nominated for an Oscar. Unfortunately, though, he did not win. And the final scene where he completely loses it and starts to beat up Reagan. He's punching her. He's going, "Guy!" just like, it just at that point, it's just this. There's nothing else but just pure rage coming out of Caris, and all this results in the demon Pazuzu entering or leaving the body of Reagan, entering the body of Caris. The whole thing is done so well on screen, and you just see the evil kind of demon just kind of take over Caris's body before he leaps out the window. Definitely for me, one of the best moments in the film. I was thinking, I think this is what makes The Exorcist so powerful. It isn't just the incredible horror and special effects on show, but the acting and the strong performances throughout the film also play a really big part. You could say, these characters, they feel like real people. And I've got to say, the filmmakers did a wonderful job of bringing a real sense of realism to this whole thing. The movie plays the whole thing very straight, and we don't have any kind of outright moments of comedy. There's not people trying to crack jokes here. It's a serious situation. This girl is clearly going through something that nobody can kind of wrap their heads around, nobody can fully understand it, to the point where at the end it becomes a spiritual battle. It's just a powerful film and truly transcending horror. I'm a bit older now, seeing a lot of horror films, and I don't get scared as easily. Still, it's a very haunting and chilling movie that I think even today still holds up as a true horror classic. I want to mention actor Max von Sydow that appears in the film as Father Merrin. He assists Father Caris with the exorcism of Reagan. Once again, another strong performance that really elevated the film. During the exorcism, you've got Father Merrin with the holy water. The power of Christ compels you. Just keep doing that, and man, once it was played straight. It was like, this is serious stuff, and by the end of the film, if you get to the third act, you're just fully immersed into this crazy scene, this exorcism taking place. And this is not necessarily a dislike, but Max von Sydow's character, Father Merrin, does have limited screen time within the film, and even though subsequently that character would be kind of fleshed out in other later sequels, I still would have liked to have seen more of Father Merrin, especially at the beginning during his travels in Iraq. As I've noted, The Exorcist from 1973 is a very powerful cinematic experience. As an audience, you're locked in, you're fully immersed in the scene that plays out, and that specific moment when Reagan levitates off the bed, truly chilling and just brilliant filmmaking from director William Friedkin. And just thinking more about that levitation sequence, watching that now, it just made me think, in today's standards, that whole sequence would be done by CGI. And back in the 70s, when CGI wasn't a thing, filmmakers had to innovate and develop solutions which in turn made them better filmmakers. And I think that's something that has been lost over the years in Hollywood, with only a handful of true original filmmakers still left who are active today. The movie definitely has some dark moments. Of course, the exorcism stuff is the most chilling, but I did find some other sequences throughout the film just as frightening. Early on in the film, there's a dinner party taking place with a party scene with many guests, and we see Reagan urinate in front of all the guests. That kind of came out of nowhere. Obviously, it shocked all the guests, and it shocked the audience as well. Very unexpected, and obviously the first signs of Reagan's possession. But also when I think about the various hospital scenes where we see Reagan having all these tests done, all these scans done to her, and seeing this poor girl suffer like this, watching all these clueless doctors insisting, no, don't worry, there's a cure, let's run some more tests. It's just like a never-ending cycle and there's no solution. But yeah, poor Reagan, seeing the girl going through all of that, very disturbing. I want to give credit to the composer of the film, Jack Nishay. The score in which he provided for this film, I believe, is a perfect counterpart to the film. At times it's very kind of minimalist, very kind of subtle, not too loud and overbearing. And I wasn't just impressed with the score itself, but also the placement within the film. Many times throughout The Exorcist, we don't hear any score at all, which in turn actually helps create an unnerving atmosphere. It's like the score blends itself with the silence, and we only really hear the score subtly from time to time. And when we do hear the score, it's very unsettling. Now, before I get to the dislikes for The Exorcist, I just want to quickly talk about one of the deleted scenes that was cut from the theatrical version. So originally in the film, there was a sequence involving Reagan performing a spider walk down some stairs. I'm sure many viewers of this video may know what I'm talking about, may have seen the deleted clip already. I believe it was featured on like a DVD extra or a documentary or something. I remember back in the day. Anyways, I remembered seeing this sequence and looking closer at that whole sequence when Reagan comes down the stairs. It seems the filmmakers wanted it to appear almost like a run, having the actress move down the stairs quite quickly. And personally for me, I would have actually had the spider walk happen, but have the actress come down the stairs extremely slowly, 1, 2, 3, step by step. I think would have been a lot better and been way more impactful. And so, dislikes for The Exorcist 1973. Main dislike, I will have to say, will be actor Lee J. Cobb, who played Lieutenant Kinderman, who investigates the spate of local murders that take place in the area. For me personally, I found the whole performance a little too hammy. Now listen, I didn't mind the character's involvement within the story, but specifically the casting of Lee Cobb in that role, I just wasn't really a fan of. I'm watching the movie and the character of Lieutenant Kinderman doesn't actually come into the film until quite later on into the film, but when he does, it just kind of for me slows down everything. On top of that, the actual delivery and the performance just seems a little bit over the top. Now earlier I did mention that these characters did seem real, and absolutely everyone did, besides Kinderman for me. Now, the actor unfortunately passed away 3 years later in 1976, and the character of Lieutenant Kinderman was subsequently recast in the 1990 sequel Exorcist 3 by actor George C. Scott. Now, The Exorcist 3, I thought that was another fantastic movie. Once again, a film with a whole load of powerful performances, And seeing Scott's portrayal of Lieutenant Kinderman, I felt it was far better than what Lee Cobb delivered in the original film. And subsequently, I wish George C. Scott had been originally cast in The Exorcist instead of Lee Cobb. And so, ratings for Exorcist 1973, I am going to give this film a strong 9 out of 10. The Exorcist is undeniably a very well crafted movie. Yes, absolutely, it's a horror film. You say Exorcist, you think, oh, you know, monsters and demons and, you know, scary stuff. Absolutely. But besides all of that, this is just some brilliant filmmaking in an era long gone. It's just a very intense movie that I think even watching it now will still scare people. I think with the whole religious aspect of it all, if you are religious, it definitely can, I think you might be able to connect with this more. A battle between good and evil, a spiritual battle with good eventually prevailing in the end. You know, this year marks the 50th anniversary of The Exorcist, and as we get further and further away from the 70s, it really becomes apparent just how far society has changed over the years. For me personally, it's changed for the worst. It's only probably going to get worse. But yeah, with this film, there's this rawness that is captured here. It's this unrelenting horror, something Hollywood just cannot produce today. So that was the review for Exorcist. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm sure many of you have seen this film before. Please let me know in the comments what you think of this film. It is a horror classic, and hope everyone has a happy Halloween. I'll be back very soon with more reviews. Take care, guys.
Like, subscribe.